What's going on, guys? Dave Mate, sipping on some Yerba Mate tea, traditional way, from a gourd, Bombillas, thermos, hot water, good vibes, good people. What's going on, guys? That Dave echo's Mate. Not going to work. Let me kill that sipping echo. Sipping on some Yerba Mate tea, traditional way, from a gourd, Bombillas, thermos, hot water, good vibes, good people. All right, guys. So, first off, salud. How's it going, guys? Hola, ¿cómo estás? For all my South American buddies. So today I just wanted to speak for about an hour, hopefully less. We'll see what happens. There's a lot of people that are just finding out about Yerba Mate tea, and they don't know how to get started. Even though I've created hundreds of articles and hundreds of videos, I really don't expect people necessarily to spend weeks upon weeks on searching through, which is fun. I mean, all power to you, do that. But the purpose of this video is to kind of cull everything together and to create a sort of comprehensive guide to Yerba Mate tea. And I'm talking about everything from the different types of Yerba Mate, the different types of gourds, the different types of Bombillas, to a little bit of the philosophy, what the Yerba Mate circle is, etc., etc. I'm not going to be diving deep into each one of these categories. Later on, within 24 hours, I will create an article as well as update the description area from wherever you're watching this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, within 24 hours, check out the description area. Come on back, check out the description below the video, and you'll see all the links that I'm going to be referencing in this presentation or discussion. If you're watching this on Facebook, same thing applies. If you're watching this on Vimeo, same thing applies. And if you're watching this on circleofdrink.com, this will probably be accompanied with an article with all the links I'm going to be showing you guys on this journey today. So periodically, I'm going to be checking the YouTube page where this is streaming live right now. I'm not opening up the YouTube page because there's an echoing situation, but every once in a while, I'll check that page. I'll just remain quiet for a minute or two that are coming in, and then I'll try to answer the questions that have come in on the YouTube page. So feel free to type in any questions you have now throughout the duration of this conversation on YouTube. All right, guys, let's get started. Real quick, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Dave Mate. I was living in Argentina for several years, and I saw people starting to drink this tea, Yerba Mate. The first day I was there, I started drinking it. And then after a year or so, I became really good at making Yerba Mate. So all my Argentinian friends and my foreigner friends, or extranjeros, we would say in Argentina, they just started to call me Dave Mate. The years I was living in Argentina, everywhere I would go, people would say, oh, Dave Mate, Dave Mate. I was that guy. I was becoming that North American who really took Yerba Mate under their wing, so to speak, and just embraced it fully. So nowadays, people call me Dave Mate. I'm the founder of the company Circle of Drink. We have a website called circleofdrink.com where we create high-end gourmet Yerba Mate blends, as well as pure Yerba Mate. But everything on that website is just very high-end. You're going to get the best of the best on that website. I won't lie to you. That mate is pricey. It's probably the most expensive mate on earth right now. That's because of all the power and energy and expertise we put into that mate. If you taste that mate, you'll know what I'm talking about when you compare it to every other brand. And then we have YerbaMateLand.com, where we sell really popular brands of Yerba Mate, other brands like Cruz de Malta, Rosamante, Taragüí, those sort of brands, which we'll get into later in this discussion. All right. So now you know who I am, Dave Mate, founder of Circle of Drink. I love Yerba Mate. Now, what is Yerba Mate? Let's start right there. Yerba Mate technically is not a tea. Yerba Mate is a holly plant. The scientific name is called Ilex paraguariensis. Ilex paraguariensis. This plant is native to the eastern forest of Paraguay. Now, all the Brazilians, Uruguayans, and Argentinians watching this are going to yell at me and going to say, no, it's from Argentina. No, it's from Uruguay. No, it's from Brazil. But back then, several hundred years ago, that entire landmass of southern of South America was very ambiguous, let's say. But from all my understanding and references and talking with experts and biologists and ecologists, yerba mate derives from the eastern forests of Paraguay, but it is naturalized. It grows now naturally in southern Brazil, Uruguay. But then the confusion comes where a lot of these territories of current day Argentina and current day Brazil, they used to be territories of Paraguay. So that's where all this kind of bickering and fighting comes from, where each country wants to claim their own status. Yerba mate comes from here, yerba mate comes from there. Forget all that. It's really not that important. Who cares where it's from? Let's just say it grows in those 4 countries only right now. Uruguay, southern Brazil, and Argentina. But in Uruguay, they don't really grow much mate because they don't have the land. Let's not get into that. They usually outsource their mate to southern Brazil. Mate is a holly plant. How is it different than any other tea? Well, yerba mate is special. You drink yerba mate and it just makes you feel really good. It makes you feel really happy. It makes you feel elated. It just gives you this sense of well-being and power. I call it magic. Scientists, the foremost yerba mate scientists, they don't even know exactly how yerba mate works. They attribute many of the health benefits to certain compounds called saponins, dicaffeoquinic acids. It's a long technical name. Various different acids found in yerba mate. In particular, an acid called chlorogenic acid. Chlorogenic acid is a super powerhouse. I recommend you research chlorogenic acid. I will put a link in this video later on about chlorogenic acid. Definitely look into that. And saponins, look into saponins as well. Now, yerba mate, compared to black tea or green tea and coffee, yerba mate is a class in and of itself. You get the same sort of energy that you would get from coffee, but there's zero crashing effects. You get the same sort of calming effects you would get from green tea, but zero crashing effects. But the thing that really separates mate is that it gives you something else. It gives you clarity of mind. It gives you what I call creative clarity. It has the ability to clear away the debris of your mind, of your psychological landscape. It gives you space and room in your mind to think clearly. A lot of people who drink yerba mate, engineers, scientists, artists, why do they gravitate towards mate? Because they know that it's working for them. They know that they have to compute a lot of information in their head all day. So mate is helping them to organize information. Now, is any of this quantifiable? No. It's all anecdotal. But there's millions of people who anecdotally have agreed to this. They'll state the power of yerba mate. Myself, I've been drinking it for 7 years. I drink it every day. I drink 1 to 2 liters a day. Boom. I would never even stop drinking mate. I wouldn't even think about it. It would make no sense. So yerba mate, to sum that whole intro up, is a powerful plant from South America. Gives you natural energy. There's no crashing effects. But the most important thing is that it gives you clarity of mind. Now, apart from that, there are other ceremonial aspects of yerba mate where somebody prepares mate and drinks it and then passes it, and then that person passes it back. The server, called the cebador, prepares it again and then passes it to the next person in a clockwise rotation. There's many aspects to that. I won't go into deeply, but mate, mythologically speaking, is the drink of friendship, handed down from the gods of friendship, forever to be shared on earth amongst people, friends and strangers alike. So mate is deeply rooted in friendship. And it makes sense because as you begin to drink yerba mate and you begin to share it with your friends and family and people you don't even know, something amazing happens. You start to open your heart. You start to open your mind. Now, some people may say, oh, that's kind of corny, Dave. What are you talking about? It's true, though. I don't know how it does it, but mate just gets you flowing. It gets you talking. It gets you really interested in other people's lives, and you start to have really interesting conversations. So mate has always been known for that. It just facilitates friendships and good, peaceful relationships. Don't take my word for it. Do it yourself. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family, and you will see over time the magic and the power of yerba mate working. All right, guys. So a lot of people, when they just start yerba mate, they write me and they say, Dave, what yerba mate do I drink? What do I start off from? Because there's hundreds of brands of yerba mate. Now, of course, I'm going to start with my own yerba mates. I always tell people, listen, if you want a really nice, clean, organic yerba mate, I would always recommend Mission Yerba Mate. Now, let me see if I could share my screen with you guys. Let me set it up so I can actually walk you through my website and show you a couple of the brands on Circle of Drink. And then after that, we'll talk about some other brands and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm going to be taking you to my website. This will be a part of this whole journey we're going on today, learning about yerba mate, because there's a lot of information on circleofdrink.com. Tons of information on that website. If you're looking at that website through your phone, just bear with us. We're rebuilding the website, so it'll eventually look beautiful on your phone. But right now, it's a little funny on the phone. It out from an iPad or your computer. Okay. So hopefully you can see circleofdrink.com now. Now, obviously, I'm biased. I sell yerba mate, but despite that, I truly believe that Mission, our mate, or organic yerba mate, is the best organic yerba mate on the market. Of course, there's many other great organic yerba mates, a few other ones, but I personally always talk about Mission. That's my baby. So let me walk you through circleofdrink.com. Okay, these are all our blends we'll talk about later. But if you go to Argentina or Argentine Mate, you're going to see Mission. Now, Mission is a great yerba mate to get started with. It's what I call a classical Argentine yerba mate. I'll get more into the categories later, but basically this is your typical yerba mate cut in terms of the leaves and the stems and the powder content. This is a clean organic yerba mate. This is a great starting point. However, this mate is slightly bitter. I particularly love the bitter taste, so it's not a problem for me. Now, if you can't stand bitter things, then I recommend you jump on over to our most popular blend, which a lot of people love. People who like things that are a little bit sweet, but not too sweet, but also not really bitter. Lady's Breath right here. Now, Lady's Breath is a combination of Argentine yerba mate, all organic, with peppermint and spearmint. The great thing about this blend is that the mint has an amazing ability to cut right through the bitterness. So here we have a situation where you're getting all the benefits of the yerba mate, the clarity of mind, the energy, the power, the force behind the mate, the ability to connect you to friends and family and strangers alike. But you're also getting the relief, so to speak. You're not getting any bitterness. You're getting the nice, cool, minty taste. So I always tell people when you're first starting, there's two general options. Either go with the pure yerba mate, which I recommended earlier, Mission, or go with a blend. A blend allows you to take advantage of the power of the mate, but also cutting through the bitterness. So if you're interested in some blends that we have on Circle of Drink, all you need to do is check out circleofdrink.com. Then you click on blends, and we have all sorts of blends: lemon, chocolate, orange tango chai, which has black tea and orange peel, sage. We got about 15, 16 different blends you could just play around with, cocoa menta. But again, this is not a sales video. I just wanted to give you the options of checking out blends because in alignment with the tutorial, like I said, some people can't deal with bitterness. That's why we have all these beautiful blends considered the best yerba mate blends on the planet Earth. So that's always a great option. Let me check my notes to see where I want to go with all this. Okay. So now I just want to jump back into, just briefly, the health benefits of yerba mate. We actually have a section on the website, if you click on the top, that goes over the health benefits. But I want to talk to you myself right now real quickly about some of the nitty-gritty science of yerba mate. So now let me stop this screen share so you can see my face. And let me refill my gourd. You see, with the gourd, it's really neat. You don't have to drink yerba mate through the gourd, which you'll learn in a second. You could drink it just like how you would drink green tea, coffee, with a French press, tea infuser, what have you. I like the gourd because I'm a traditionalist for the most part when it comes to mate. All right, guys. Now, let me get a little nerdy on you and just talk to you guys who really are concerned with the health benefits of mate. Now, let's just get the elephant in the room that's in the room. Let's discuss the big elephant in the room right now, okay? Cancer. If you do any sort of preliminary research on mate, you may come across some, in my opinion, people who are not informed talking about yerba mate and causing cancer. But let me just say straight out, categorically, there has never, ever been a study in the world that has ever proven yerba mate to cause cancer. Yerba mate does not cause cancer. In fact, there's been more research showing that yerba mate destroys colon cancer and other forms of cancer, particularly colon cancer. The reason why you might see some associations with mate and cancer is because of this LA Times article that came out in 2009. This lady, Miss Connis, wrote this article, horrible article. No offense, Miss Connis, but the article was not well researched whatsoever. And a lot of people started to read about this article because it had high rankings in Google search results. But if you read my research, which I'm going to put a link below, you'll see that yerba mate does not cause cancer. What creates the potential for cancer has nothing to do with the yerba mate. It has everything to do with the thermal situation. So if you drink anything hot, whether that's green tea, black tea, mint, anything hot, even just pure hot water, you're increasing the chances for cell mutation due to thermal carcinogenesis, basically from heat damage to your esophagus. That could create the potential for various mutations in the throat lining. But if you do the research well, which I already have, but I implore you to do it on your own. Of course, don't take my word for any of this. This video is for educational purposes only. You'll quickly see that yerba mate doesn't cause cancer. Yerba mate is amazing for you. Read all the research out there. Now, one of the great things about yerba mate, if I were to sum up the health benefits in terms of nitty-gritty science, is that yerba mate reduces something called oxidative stress. Now, I don't want to go too nerdy on you guys, with all these scientific terms, but basically oxidative stress is a process that naturally occurs in everybody's body. As we get older, it happens more. Basically, these things called reactive oxygen species, basically molecules that are kind of out of whack, let's say. And they go around and they build up these gangs. They have these other friends, these other free radicals, they're called, unstable molecules. Now, these molecules run around your body, and they are responsible effectively for all disease in the body, for all inflammation in the body, for anything bad that happens in the body. Free radicals are behind it, okay? So what mate does, it creates basically a neutralizing force. It reduces these reactive oxygen species. It reduces all these bad molecules, let's call them. They're not really bad, but that's something else. We need them. But mate has the ability to reduce that. So essentially, mate is reducing aging, the aging process. It's keeping you young. It's slowing down the natural biological aging process. That's what mate is doing for you, essentially, to sum it up. It's neutralizing all these molecules that are running around and destabilizing other molecules. So it's like a war that's going on in your body, a war between free radicals and antioxidants. If you have too many free radicals, the bad molecules in your body, then all disease will occur. Many sorts of diseases will occur: coronary disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, all sorts of diseases. Yerba mate stops these things from happening. It slows them down, it pushes them back, and neutralizes them. So you'll see many studies showing how if you eat junk food, mate has the ability to help reverse the damaging effects that junk food produces in your body. If you have diabetes, mate may help regulate glucose levels, sugar levels in your body. If you have an issue with lipids, with high blood pressure or high cholesterol, mate can help offset the high cholesterol and bring it back down to normalized levels. If you have high blood pressure, you'll read studies about how mate can help normalize your blood pressure. If you have stress, and remember, guys, stress is not just physiological stress, it's psychological and environmental. There's 3 stages of stress: environmental, psychological, and physiological, due to pathogens and viruses in that respect. Mate helps to reduce stress on all 3 levels. It's considered an adaptogenic herb. That's what adaptogenic herbs do. They reduce stress. So that's basically the crux of the science behind yerba mate. Now, like I said, I didn't go into all the nitty-gritty details. That's not the purpose of this video. You'll see eventually, within 24 hours, I'll put links to everything I'm referencing in this discussion. So let me just take a second right now and segue onto the YouTube page to see if anybody has written any questions that I can answer. If not, then I'll just proceed. So if I get quiet for a second, that's because I don't want to echo things on the YouTube page when I have that up. Just pardon me. All right, we have questions. Let's see what these questions are. How do I connect? If you want to connect, you actually have to go to the Google page, which I'll put a link in the chat section on YouTube. For those of you guys following on YouTube, if you want to connect, I'm going to put a link to actually connect with me. Boom, just put that link. What else? Does mate have caffeine? Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay. Sleeping issues with yerba mate. We'll talk about that. Okay. What is the molecule that is most active? Okay, we'll talk about that. And can you buy mate in Germany? Okay, good. So I got a feel of what you guys want me to talk about. All right, so let's segue. We got somebody who just joined. Great.
Hello, Dave.
Hey, how's it going, buddy? Lane?
It's fine. I'm from Poland, and it's I think it's almost night here.
Oh, okay. Well, welcome.
I'm going to sleep soon, but you've made this call.
Yeah.
So I thought I'm gonna jump in. Why not? You know, I've tried to jump about a year ago or so, I think, but I didn't make it.
Yes. Well,
you know that this. Excuse me?
I said I'm glad to have you in the circle right now, the yerba mate circle.
Yes, I'm glad too. I wanted to jump for a long time, as I said.
Nice.
What mate are you drinking?
Right now I'm drinking Amanda. No, I'm sorry, Nobleza Gaucha special selection.
Nobleza Gaucha. That's nice. Wait a second. Oh.
This is a special selection.
I've drunk only the casual one, not the.
Yeah.
How is it?
Pretty good.
How is it?
Pretty good. You know, I wouldn't really call it an amazing, stellar yerba mate, but I would say it's pretty good.
Oh.
I'm still getting used to it. I'm still exploring it.
And how is it different from the casual one?
I'm sorry, how is it different from which one?
From the casual one, the normal one.
This one I would say is a little bit more lighter. It's lighter, slightly more refined, I would say. I may actually prefer the other Nobleza Gaucho a little bit better because it has more kick. I like mates with a little bit more kick, but this is a nice little change up from it though. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's Nobleza Gaucho is a bit flat, but it's nice in its in its simpliness. It's so simple, but it's also nice.
Yes, it is very simple. I think it's one of the most stable mates in terms of taste wise. It has a very stable body. Some mates, their body's not stable.
And how about Pipore?
Pipore?
Pipore.
Pipore, I think it's a really good brand. I particularly like the Pipore traditional over the Pipore Sin Palos. I think it's a really good brand, Pipore. Not very easy to get all the time, but it's a good brand.
Yeah, but I think the same. That those Sin Palos are, for me, they are too flat and too, you know, they've got too much kick, in my opinion.
Yes. So for those of you guys who are listening and don't know what Sin Palos means, that means without the stems. Anytime you see it say Sin Palos, S-I-N-P-A-L-O-S, 2 words, Sin Palos, that means there are no stems in the mate, which makes for a mate that's more robust in many ways, and less refined, depending on the brand. So, I'm sorry, Lane. Do you go by Lane again?
Yes, Lane. It's my fake name, but I use it to connect to other people on the internet.
Okay, Lane. So what I wanted to do is somebody had a question about matein and caffeine. Does mate have caffeine? So I want to address that. And if you have any information on that, we could share that as well. Do you have any information on caffeine and matein? Does matein exist? Do you know? Or
nope, matein doesn't exist. It's it's fake information. You know, I've watched all your videos and read all, probably not all, but many articles on the internet about mate. And
yes,
there's no matein. There's a combination of 3 xanthines.
That's right.
And that's the matein. This legendary matein.
Exactly. So for everybody listening, if you're wondering if yerba mate has caffeine, the simple answer is yes. Mate has about the same amount of caffeine as a cup of coffee. We're talking about 78 milligrams of caffeine per 150 milliliters per about 8 ounces, 6, 7, 8 ounces or so. Matein, which is something you'll hear about pretty often, was supposedly a compound that mate had that was better than caffeine. But if you do the research, you'll see that matein does not exist. There was a scientist back in the 80s from Argentina who thought that he proved that it did exist, but it was quickly debunked. And matein became sort of a marketing term for Argentinians mostly, to kind of help spread the power of yerba mate. But what they were really referring to was the cumulative effects of the 3 major stimulants in yerba mate, which are caffeine, theophylline, and theobromine. Those 3 stimulants combined help produce a level of natural energy in yerba mate that's very sustainable and slow releasing. So there really isn't any crashing with yerba mate. It's a very stable, energizing, kind of uplifting effect. And yes, the caffeine appears to work differently in yerba mate, because you may say, well, if yerba mate has caffeine and so does coffee, why do you crash off of drinking, several cups of coffee, but you don't crash after drinking 2 liters of yerba mate a day? The reason is that, number one, nobody knows. Nobody's ever shown why this is it. It's still unknown. My theory is that the caffeine works differently in yerba mate. It's combined with other molecules and other compounds that seem to kind of create a superpower, a super mind, so to speak, of yerba mate that works differently. So for me, intuitively, the answer is very simple. But in terms of science, no scientist has ever written or published an article on how this occurs. They still don't know how this occurs. So that's still part of the mystery of yerba mate.
And when talking about this whole concept of those xanthines working together, I wanted to say that I was drinking a lot of coffee a few years ago, and then I switched to mate. And what I noticed is that when I'm drinking coffee right now, when I try to drink coffee, I really feel like crap, and I think that my body has got used to the mate and all those xanthines working together, and this crashing occurs really hard for me.
Yes,
I think that's what I've noticed. I don't know if you are experiencing it
absolutely.
too.
I mean, I used to be a heavy coffee drinker. When I say heavy, I mean I used to drink about, let's call it 36 ounces of coffee a day for years. But then after a couple of years of drinking coffee like that, I started to have tachycardia, heart palpitations. Essentially, my heart rate was increasing. So I tried to pull myself off of the coffee. I realized, then I started to do a lot of research on the coffee and saw that it was acidic. Coffee is very acidic. Those of you that know about alkaline and acidic foods, you know that things that are very acidic aren't necessarily good for you, unless it's like something like kombucha or something else. So I noticed personally that when I started to drink yerba mate, I reduced my coffee intake by 90%. I still drink it once in a while. I'll have a cup of Americano maybe once a month, once every 2 months or so. But mate for me is my mainstay. Like for me, it's so intelligent.
Yeah.
It just works. You don't need coffee anymore. Coffee is done. The future of coffee is very bleak, in my opinion. Very, very bleak. Doesn't look good for coffee over the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. No way. Cannot be sustained. Won't happen.
Yes, I think that mate will burst out someday and go to the higher audience. By the
Yeah.
way, sorry for my broken
No.
English. I'm kinda stressed because of all those people watching us now.
Don't worry about it. You get used to
Not
it.
so used.
We got about 4 viewers, and then this video will be shown to thousands of people. But don't worry. I mean, it's
Yes,
all good positive energy.
I'm just not a native speaker, and I think that speaking is the worst part of my English.
No, you're fine. You're doing fine. Don't even worry.
Thanks.
So I wanted to actually touch upon two more health benefits while we're talking about health. Another health benefit of yerba mate is that it curbs your appetite. Mate has a way of basically curbing your appetite. So a lot of people who drink mate, especially in the morning, the amount of food that they eat in the morning is like a couple cookies or a cracker. In Argentina, they have something called facturas, which basically means morning cookies. And it's very typical in Argentina to only have about 5 little cookies for breakfast. That's your, because if you're drinking yerba mate, you don't get hungry. So a lot of people see that they lose weight because of yerba mate decreases their appetite. So that's one thing you want to take into account. Mate may help you lose weight and may help to speed up your metabolism to help you naturally shed some calories, burn some calories rather. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, mate's effect on the immune system, which is kind of what we already spoken about. There are certain herbs in the world that help modulate your immune system. Immunomodulation, it's called scientifically. Basically, that means that your immune system learns from the yerba mate. Your immune system is kind of toned from the yerba mate, and it's amped up. Because your immune system, what is your immune system? Your immune system is just like a billion different cells working together in your body to help ward off disease, ward off pathogens. Mate is just a great tool for tuning up your immune system. So I think we kind of spoke enough about the health benefits of mate. We spoke a little bit about some brands on circleodrink.com that you may want to explore. Mission Yerba Mate, Pure Organic Yerba Mate, and then Lady's Breath or any of the blends of Yerba Mate if you don't want to deal with the bitterness. Now, Lane, maybe you could jump in and help me with this. I want to talk about the different ways of actually preparing and drinking Yerba Mate tea. The way that I drink it is this way, through gourds. This is called the Yerba Mate gourd. This is called a Yerba Mate bombilla or bombilla. And this inside is just the Yerba Mate. And these gourds, these setups come in different variations, different types of material. So let me show you some of the materials. The most traditional material is what you call a calabash gourd. This is a calabash gourd. Essentially, it's a summer squash. To simplify things, it's a squash that's grown in very hot regions of Brazil and Argentina. And basically, this vessel has been used for tens of thousands of years by all sorts of civilizations all over the world, Hawaii, Africa, everywhere, Rome. Basically, in Argentina, they use this to drink yerba mate. They put the yerba mate in. They get a bombilla, which is a straw with a filter at the end. We'll talk about that in a second. And they put the yerba in. They move it around a little bit to get the smaller particles to your hand. It's not absolutely necessary. You don't have to do this. I don't even really recommend it anymore. It's something more connoisseur level. And then you create a hole, and then you put the bombilla in. You add your hot water, and you drink it like this all day long. Now, just to briefly talk about the different types of gourds, we have the squash, the calabash gourd. We have a ceramic gourd, which is a little bit heavier, but it's nice. Some people like kind of classy sort of gourds. You can find this one at Circle of Drink. All these are Circle of Drink. Then you have a wooden gourd. This is made out of a wood called carob. It's essentially a lightweight wood, a tree that grows on the border of Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay region. And then
Wait a second, Dave.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm gonna show you my mate gourds too, but
Yeah, show everybody the gourd.
go ahead. Go.
No, go ahead.
Continue.
Okay, and then we have a glass gourd. This is your glass gourd. This is just made out of glass. Nice, simple tempered glass. And then we have, basically, this is another squash gourd, but it's been wrapped around with leather. And the difference between these two gourds is that this gourd is from Argentina, and this gourd is from Brazil. In Brazil, the gourds are made from a different variation of the squash plant that's usually thicker, significantly thicker, and a little bit more spongy, I would say, inside. And they're larger. So those are your three gourds. Let's take a look at Lane's gourd. You want to show your gourd to everybody?
Yes, I wanted to show you my carob wood algarrobo. Yes?
Yes.
I don't know how it's pronounced. Algarrobo?
Algarrobo in Spanish. Carob wood. Exactly.
Wait a moment.
There it is. Nice.
Let's give it. Wait a moment, please.
That's all right. Oh, nice. Yes, that's a carob gourd. Argentinian, it looks like.
Yes, just a casual carob wood gourd, you know.
Yes.
And the other one is Palo Santo.
Yes, Palo Santo is another one. It's a harder wood.
I can't. Wait a moment. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
just having some troubles with the camera.
That's all right. It's a live circle. Nice.
And I was always interested about why are you not so much into Palo Santo wood?
Okay, so Palo Santo wood, for all our viewers, is a wood that's one of the hardest woods in the world, actually. I think it's in the top 20 in terms of wood density. Palo Santo is a wood that I used to really like. I don't really like it anymore so much because a lot of times that wood doesn't handle water very well. Some woods that are more porous, more lightweight, like cedar wood or carob wood, which is called algarrobo in Spanish, they could just deal with water better. Usually the harder the wood, ironically, in many cases, the more prone it is to cracking. It's an irony, I know. The only way to get around the cracking from harder woods like lignum vitae or Palo Santo, which is actually considered false lignum vitae, the only way to get around those woods from cracking is to seal the woods with chemical sealers. Basically, what people do is they seal the wood with these chemicals that basically locks in the state of the wood. I don't like that. So some of you who are customers of Circle of Drink, you know, maybe you purchased like a lignum vitae gourd from us in the past, and maybe it broke and we replaced it and it broke, and then we replaced it and then you were happy. The reason is because we don't use any chemicals. We use 0,000 chemicals. I'm totally against using any sort of chemicals on the wood. I don't know. That's just me. I don't like it. I like to keep the nature and the integrity of the wood intact without adding chemicals. I don't know. I just don't like it. Even the ones that are food grade chemicals, I don't like either. So that's why I'm kind of moving away from the very hard woods and I'm moving more towards the softer woods like cedar. I don't have an example on me, but cedar wood and algarrobo or carob wood, which I think are some of the best options for yerba mate gourds, wooden gourds at least. But for those of you guys that just want to get started, it's fine. Go with any wooden gourd you could find. You could even go with a aluminum gourd or stainless steel gourd. Or if you want to go all out and go crazy, you could get yourself a ceramic gourd, which I'm really starting to like a lot as well. The problem with the ceramic gourds is that some people don't like the weight. For me, I don't mind it. This gourd right here is only about 10 ounces, so it's not really heavy. And it's nice. It's a perfect solid state. So those are the gourds. Yeah, those are basically the main type of gourds. Let's talk a little bit about the bombillas. All right, guys. And Lane, you can feel free to jump in whenever you feel like it. So we have different types of bombillas. The bombilla or bombilla, as is pronounced in any other country outside of Argentina. In Argentina, they pronounce the double L, sha, or ja. I lived in Argentina for several years, and that's where I learned Spanish. So I use the Argentinian Spanish. Some people hate that, but I don't care. That's the Spanish I speak, and I love it. And, you know, Argentina is my place. It's my second home. So just bear with me. This is my Bombillas, but technically in Brazil, they would call this a bomba, B-O-M-B-A, bomba, which is totally acceptable. You could call it a bomba, a Bombillas, or Bombilla. Now, they come in different shapes and sizes. This is what you call a spoon Bombillas because it's kind of shaped like a spoon, and it has all these little filters at the end, all these little holes. This sort of Bombillas is great. I think every Matero, what's a Matero? A passionate Yerba Mate drinker who has accepted Yerba Mate as a lifestyle, essentially. It sounds kind of biblical, I know, accepted mate as a lifestyle, but it's true. Well, mate is a lifestyle. It's hard for me to explain that. You just have to start drinking it, and you see the mate becomes a lifestyle. The people who just live mate, drink mate, they become very peaceful. If they're already peaceful, even better. It changes your whole life. It's hard for me to explain. It's hard for me to quantify. Just drink it, and you'll see. So Materos love this sort of Bombillas because you could use it for any single type of mate. It's an all-purpose Bombillas. So your spoon Bombillas, the more holes at the end, the better. This one has over 230 holes. This is our Monty Bombillas that can be found at circleofdrink.com. Now, the second type of Bombillas, which is the most popular in the world, especially in Argentina, is what I call a double action Bombillas. That's a term that I coined several years ago. Why do I call it double action? That's because it has two filters. It has these holes right here at the end, and then it has the spring, which acts as a second layer, and then it has this little wing cap that wraps around and fixes to the top. This is called a double action Bombillas because it has two filters, two filtration systems, two layers. This Bombillas is great. However, this Bombillas can only pretty much be used with one type of mate, the classical Argentine mate. Now, what is a classical Argentine mate? Let's jump on over to that real quick. Now, just like tobacco or coffee or even traditional tea, Yerba Mate has different cuts. Okay, there's different cuts, the different physics. There's different physics of the leaves, the combination of big leaves, small leaves, powder, how much dust, stems. So your most common type of mate, the most common category is what I call a classical Argentine Yerba Mate. Classical Argentine, which means your most typical type of mate. Let's take a look at that. So the example I'll show you is Mission, just so you can take a look at the cut of the Yerba Mate. Remember, the cut is the composition of the leaves. Let me actually share my screen. Sorry about that. The cut is the combination, the composition of the leaves. These are the leaves here. The stems, which are called palos in Spanish, and the dust, the little tiny particles that are essentially just powder, pulverized leaves and pulverized stem. Now, depending on the proportion of each one of those factors, you have three different principal cuts. Your cut that's the most standard, that has the broadest leaves and only a moderate amount of dust and a moderate amount of palos, these white stems, is called your classical Argentine mate. And most of these mates obviously come from Argentina, hence the name classical Argentina, classical Argentine. Now, your second type of mate is what I call gaucho mate. Let's take a look at that. Now, gaucho mate, there's a little bit of confusion around this term, which I'll explain in a second. So as you can see with this mate, we're dealing with a lot of powder, a lot of dust, okay? You need the spoon Bombillas for this sort of mate. It's essential for it. Your Bombillas would be clogged if you weren't using the spoon Bombillas. Now, this mate, I call it a gaucho mate because this mate has been grown in Brazil, but it's not Brazilian mate. Now, you may say, what the heck are you talking about? If it's grown in Brazil, why is it not considered Brazilian mate? That's because in Uruguay, where you'll find the most yerba mate drinkers per capita in the world, yes, in the world, there's about 3 million people in the entire country of Uruguay, and it's estimated that well over 90% of people in the country drink yerba mate every single day. So it's pretty spectacular. Now, the irony is that in Uruguay, most of the land is designated for pulp, for paper production and cattle production. They don't have the resources and the land to grow any sort of a commercial yerba mate operations. Yes, they are starting to investigate areas to grow yerba mate, and there are some active yerba mate plantations and farms in Uruguay. But for the most part, the Uruguayans hire, they basically outsource the growing to southern Brazil. And in southern Brazil, they produce a certain yerba mate specifically for Uruguayans that has a sort of malty taste. Galaxy is one great example, as you can see on circleofdrink.com. Galaxy, and now let me show you another example. One of my probably top 5 or 10 yerba mates in the world, actually. I love this yerba mate. At Yerba Mate Land, here's another example of a gaucho yerba mate. Remember, gaucho yerba mate is yerba mate grown in southern Brazil for the Uruguayan palate, for people in Uruguay who love a certain type of taste. Del Salvador is another prime example of a gaucho yerba mate. This at yerbamateland.com. Now, let's also segue into traditional Brazilian mate. Now, traditional Brazilian mate is not called yerba mate. It's called chimarrão. I know I'm pronouncing it kind of funny. My Portuguese is not as good as my Spanish. So basically, it's called chimarrão. Chimarrão. And I'll show you an example of this yerba mate right here. Gimango. The X is pronounced G, so it's Gimango. And as you can see, they use the term erva mate. It's spelled erva mate phonetically, but it's pronounced erva mate, E-R-V-A. That essentially means traditional, native yerba mate grown for the palate of the Brazilians. And there are hundreds of brands that fall into this category. Gimango being one of the most well-known ones. Now, if you take a look at this yerba mate, look at this. It's pure powder. This mate is not aged at all. They pick it, they cut it, they mulch it up, and they bag it in foil, and they ship it all over the world. And this is called chimarrão and erva mate, which means traditional, native, pure mate grown for the native population of southern Brazil. So, and then the third category would be mate grown in Paraguay, which I call Paraguayan mate. And we'll take a look at that. Let me find a brand. I don't even know if I have a brand on the. Okay, here we go. No, that's not the best example. Okay.
Dave?
Yeah.
Hey, I've got a question. Another question for you.
Yeah,
you've done many reviews of mates.
Yes.
And most of them were Argentinian mates. And why didn't you make some reviews of Paraguayan mates?
Actually, I have. I've made about.
Yes, I know. I've seen the Federico review, probably La Rubia review, but those you've I don't know. You've skipped many brands like.
I agree.
Like
because I'm the sort of person that I don't like to ever pretend. If I don't know about something, I'll never pretend. So the reality of the matter is I'm mostly an expert at Argentine yerba mates. Now, yes, I've consumed many Paraguayan mates, but on a regular basis, I'm mostly consuming Argentine mates. So as I begin to increase my understanding of Paraguayan mates, then you'll start to see me producing more reviews on Paraguayan mates. But until that point, I'm not going to go heavy on Paraguayan mates, only because right now I'm trying to work my way through a lot of the Argentine mates because, I was living there. That's where I learned. That's where I became, the self-proclaimed expert. And I'm just trying to first build a foundation on what I know. And then from there, start to expand my knowledge base and expand to Brazilian mates and expand to Paraguayan mates. But at first, I'm still continuing to build out my major area of expertise, which is yerba mate from Argentina. That's pretty much the reason.
Okay, I know.
Mm-hmm. So, and feel free to jump in when I talk about Paraguayan mates. So Paraguayan mates, they have a hybrid cut, what I consider a hybrid cut. And I'll also talk about the taste in a second. So Paraguayan mates have a similar cut to Argentinian mates, as you could see, but they usually have more powder, which makes for an interesting mixture. But the thing you really want to take away with Paraguayan mate is the taste profile is insane. When I say insane, I mean it's totally wild. You're going to have tastes of tobacco, cherry, vanilla, different sorts of intense fruits and tarty flavors. So Paraguayan mate is not a mate I usually recommend right away for people because it's so intense and so random, not random, but it's just all over the place in terms of flavors. Why is that? That's because most of the mate companies in Paraguay, they have tremendous amounts of sourcing capabilities. What does that mean? Major companies in Paraguay essentially they make blends from various different plantations of yerba mate, and they mix it together. That's why the taste profiles are so intense. It's not like a pure, this is akin to like a single malt whiskey where you're getting it from one. This is the opposite to that. You're getting the mate from so many different sources that the mate profile in Paraguay is so extreme. And also the soil, the terroir, if you will, from Paraguay has a very distinct tobacco-y taste. So Paraguayan mate is very different in terms of the cut. I would call this a hybrid cut, a hybrid between gaucho mate in that it has a lot of powder, but it's not as powdery as gaucho mate. And then it also has some broad cut leaves, hojas, but not as many as Argentinian mates. So it's a hybrid, I would say. And moving along real quick to the different cuts of yerba mate, I want to show you one more cut. Another cut of mate is what I call a clean cut of yerba mate. What is a clean cut? A clean cut is where Ecoteas is probably the best example for this. Ecoteas is a good company, organic yerba mate, really good people. This is a mate that's very accessible through Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. You might want to check out this brand. They basically produce a clean cut of mate, what I call a clean cut. That essentially means they removed many of the stems. There's hardly any stems. If there are stems, it's these little tiny baby ones you'll see here. And there's hardly any powder. The powder has been removed. So this is a very polished, clean cut. Now, I want to state this little caveat here. Don't think that clean cut mates makes it any better. Absolutely not. That's one of the biggest misconceptions in the mate world right now. When people talk about, oh, mate that doesn't have stems or mate that doesn't have powder, then it's better. Absolutely not. Totally false. That's all marketing BS, part of my French. In fact, I think that in many respects, you need the powder and you need the palos to create a well-balanced taste profile. But if you remove the palos, the stems, and you remove the powder, that's okay too, but it's a different situation. And I like those mates. What was that?
The same thing happens with the São Paulo, in my opinion. I know they are so unbalanced that because of they lack the palos and powder.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like them that much.
Yeah, them for the most part they're not well balanced. So for me, when I use a mate that's clean, a clean cut mate, I like that mate for blending purposes, for blending with fruits and herbs, other herbs and minty herbs. I think it's great for blending, but on its own, it's okay, but it's not my go-to sort of mate because it's just too clean tasting. I need mate with a little bit of grit, with a little bit of oomph, a little bit of kick. And that's where the classical Argentine mate comes in. That's where the gaucho mate comes in. And that's where the Paraguayan mates come in. Now, I also want to take a quick step back into the gaucho mate. I didn't get to talk about the flavor profiles of that. So gaucho mates have a really nice flavor profile. And this kind of relates to coffee drinkers. So coffee drinkers, you guys are accustomed to that robust espresso, dark chocolate, raw chocolate sort of taste profiles. The good thing about gaucho yerba mate, such as Galaxy, which you can find at circleofdrink.com, or even Del Salvador from yerbamateland.com, the good thing about those mates is that it has a really robust, creamy, strong taste profile. So it's creamy, almost like a milky situation, but it also has like this espresso, chocolate, coffee situation going on. So those are very interesting sort of mates to explore, gaucho yerba mates. So I think I covered the major three cuts. Let me just recap on that before we move ahead. We have classical Argentine yerba mate. That mate has a strong green tea profile in terms of taste. Good examples would be Pipore, Cruz de Malta, Mission, even Kraus Organic, Rosamante. Those are all pretty good examples of classical Argentine yerba mate. In terms of the cut, the composition of the mate, the physics of the leaves and the stems and the powder, classical Argentine yerba mates have mostly large leaves, large amount of broad cut leaves, minimal amounts of powder called polvo in Spanish, and it has a moderate amount of white stems called palos. Now, moving along, Gaucho yerba mate is mate grown in southern Brazil for Uruguayan, for the Uruguayan market. This mate is powdery, has tremendous amounts of powder, but that's okay. The powder is great. It's just a different type of mate. It's creamy. It's chocolatey. It has coffee notes. For that mate, you need a bombilla like this. Okay, as opposed to Argentine yerba mate, you could use any bombilla, but a lot of times people use double action bombillas. And then moving along, we have Paraguayan yerba mate. In terms of the cut of Paraguayan yerba mate, that's a hybrid cut. So it has almost equal amounts, not equal, but it has a high amount of powder. It has a pretty good amount of moderate sized leaves, and it has usually a heavy amount to a moderate amount of stem. So it's a hybrid in terms of the cut. In terms of the flavor profile, it's intense. Tobacco-y, cherry, vanilla, really intense. That's why a lot of people drink it cold, mate from Paraguay, called tereré. I'll put a link to that in the description eventually within 24 hours. Tereré is cold yerba mate that's consumed mostly in Paraguay, and they add what they call chuchus. Chuchus is a term, a Quechua term for mint, a whole medley of different herbs like mint and pennyroyal and lemon verbena, those sort of herbs, zesty sort of herbs. And then we also have clean cut yerba mate. A good example of clean cut yerba mate would be Kraus. I'm sorry, not Kraus, Ecoteas. Ecoteas, they have a clean cut one, the pure leaf. That yerba mate has no stems, has no powder. It's just a pure clean cut of the yerba mate. Taste profile, in terms of taste profile, is very light. Some people would say it could be insipid to some degree. I think they're tasty. They're okay. But you're not going to get that robustness you're going to get from a classical Argentine mate. Those mates, the clean cut ones, are really good for mixing with other herbs. And then we have Yerba Mate. Remember, Yerba Mate, E-R-V-A space M-A-T-E, Yerba Mate, also called Chimarrão. This is native mate grown in Brazil, southern Brazil, for the native population. This mate is not aged at all. That's why it's very green. In terms of the taste profile, very light. It has a very cerebral effect. It has a clean effect. There's no kind of jolting. You know, it doesn't give you the power you're going to get from the Argentine mate. But in terms of the taste profile, it's very elegant, I would say. Very light. I don't recommend it for beginners, to be honest, because it's complicated. To drink it out of the gourd, you got to really perfect how to use this properly, how to move it around. But that's something once you become more of a connoisseur to get into that. So those are the four categories of mate. I discussed the different cuts of those four categories. I discussed the different flavor profiles. Now, of course, I'm just scratching the surface. I'll make more videos in the future where I really dig down deep into all these subjects I'm talking about. For the purpose of the video, it's to just kind of give you broad strokes. So how do you think I'm doing so far, Lane?
I think your job is perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. What else should we talk about? What else did I write about? I think that was the crux of what I wanted to get out there. On this note, real quick, the Yerba Mate Circle. What is a Yerba Mate Circle? Well, a Yerba Mate Circle is essentially sharing yerba mate with friends and family or strangers. And in Argentina, southern Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, this is every day. Every day, no matter where you go, you could be in a Fortune 500 office there. You could be on the street. You could be anywhere. People call me crazy because I share mate with everybody I see that wants to share mate with me. I don't care who they are. I'll share mate with them. And it's a magical thing that happens. Somebody prepares the mate traditionally out of a gourd, a bombilla. They get the thermos. You could buy a whole mate kit. Check that out, circleofdrink.com. And they invite over their friends. And the person who's called the cebador, the server, prepares the mate every single time. The job of the cebador is to, number one, this is my metaphysical aspect talking. Number one, clear your mind, clear your heart, increase your vibrations, get your vibrations clean, get your vibrations good. You got to be in a good state. You know, if you're the cebador, you just got to clear your energy. You know, I don't want to go so much into that. I'll talk about that in another video, but you got to just clear your energy first. You know, just breathe, feel good, and then prepare the mate. You don't want to prepare the mate when your energy's out of whack, because that gets translated into the mate, and then people drink the bad energy, let's call it. You don't want that. So if you're going to share mate with somebody, number one, get in a good state of mind. Get in a good state of mind, because that changes the taste of the mate, in my opinion, in my metaphysical opinion. Then you learn how to prepare the mate. I'll put all the links below eventually, how to prepare the mate. And then you share the mate with somebody. And then when they finish, they turn the bombilla back to you. And then you fix up another one. And then whoever else is, you turn the bombilla to that next person. And then they drink it. There's no time limit, but you want them to drink it within a couple minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. You don't want them just, you know, holding on to the gourd forever. There are some etiquette rules to it, which I'll discuss in another video. I'm just going over the basics now. So the cebador prepares the mate, serves it. That person passes it back. It doesn't have to be a crazy formal thing. It's just about coming together, sharing yerba mate, and allowing the mate to do its work while you have peaceful conversations with people. That's all a mate circle is. You're bringing people together. You're building up relationships, camaraderie, brotherhood, sisterhood, family. You know, you're getting to know people, and mate opens up the mind, opens up the heart, gets you talking, makes you feel really good, and that's what essentially a mate circle is. Nothing more to it. Just coming together, sharing yerba mate. So that's one aspect that really drew me into yerba mate. I'm from New York, okay, and in New York, I love New York. New York is my place. You know, some people think New Yorkers are a little like abrasive. They're not. In my opinion, I'm biased, but New Yorkers, we just have our own style. We have our own way of talking with each other. We're very blunt, you know, that's our style. But in New York, it's not common for someone just to give you a drink. Here, have a sip of my tea. That never happens, hardly ever. But the first day I was in Argentina in April 2009, there were these groups of other students on the floor of a recreational room. I was staying at some dorms there. They didn't know me. They just said, hey, you, come sit down. Come here. Share this with us. I didn't know them. Within 1 minute, I was drinking out of a straw from a complete stranger. 2 minutes after that, they were offering me cookies and dulce de leche and snacks. And these were total strangers. So as a New Yorker, that's very rare, in my opinion. You don't really see people just, hey, come on over here, have a drink with me. No, people don't trust each other like that in New York. But in Argentina, when that happened, it was like this cosmic shift that took place instantly within my entire spirit. Somebody invited me into their circle, into their situation, complete stranger, shared this drink with me, taught me about this drink. And then that was my initiation. After that day, my entire life changed. And I started to investigate mate, yada, yada, yada. I wrote a book on mate called Mateology. I wrote the first book on yerba mate as a North American called Mateology. I'll put a link to that as well. And then I started a company around yerba mate. I started this whole group. And it all started from that one day, from that one invitation. Come, share yerba mate. So now you can see the power of what a mate circle is. Okay? So that's a mate circle. I'll put more information below. And I think that's enough for an introduction on yerba mate. Of course, like I said, I just scratched the surface with all these topics. Within 24 hours, expect there to be links to all the references I spoke about in this video. There'll be nice links below the video. Share the video with your friends. I implore you to sign up for our newsletters. When you go to yerbamateland.com and you go to circleofdrink.com, you will be prompted through a little box, whether it's on the corner of the screen or in the middle of the screen, to sign up for our newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter. Definitely do that. That way we could keep the education flowing to you, keep you updated on everything, keep you updated on new products, share more videos with you. And then go on to Facebook.com if you're on Facebook. Find our groups, join our groups on Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to this channel, Circle Drink on YouTube. And if for those of you on Instagram, definitely follow Circle Drink on Instagram. We got some of the best yerba mate pictures in the world on Instagram. Really cool pictures of different gourds and bombillas. And, you know, I really love photography, taking pictures of mate that I share with people. So I think that's kind of what I wanted to get across to you guys today. A quick reference guide to getting started with yerba mate tea. Powerful tea. Changed my life. I love it. I hope that you really explore yerba mate. Don't take my word for it, please. Just go on your own. Find yerba mate if you have to. Start drinking it, and you'll see. You'll prove it to yourself how powerful this herb is. What else could I say, guys? What else should I say, Lane? Anything else you think I should add to this guide?
I think that's all you could say about it.
So I just want to give everybody a preview to what I'm going to be talking about on my next video. On the next video, I'm going to be deciphering a yerba mate box. I'm going to be deciphering all the terms in Spanish. What do they mean? When you see a term called cosecha seleccionada, what does that mean? When you see a term that says sin palos or con palos or barbacoa or hierbas serranas, these are all terms specific to Argentine yerba mate brands and even other brands I'll be talking about from Brazil and Paraguay. I'm going to be deciphering the box, showing you exactly what these terms mean, which I think should be a very interesting video because nobody has ever really published a video on that. So that should be really cool. So that's going to be next week, guys. Stay tuned for that video next week. Maybe, I don't know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday or so next week. You'll be seeing me live. If you want to be updated when that happens, subscribe to us on our Google Plus page. I'll put a link below. Or just subscribe to our Facebook page at facebook.com/circleofdrink, and you'll be notified when I'm going live next week. And you could also participate like Lane did. Jump on and participate, ask questions. That's great. That's the Mate Circle. Or you can just watch, and that's fine too. So I think that's it for today, guys. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Please share this video, study this video, press pause, go do whatever you have to do, come back and watch it little by little, whatever you have to do. But this is good information for getting started with yerba mate.
Yeah, I think I'm going to sleep now.
Thank you. Yeah, go to sleep. Have a good night. Have good dreams. And watch my video on lucid dreams and yerba mate.
Yeah, I've actually watched this one.
Good, man. You'll get lucid dreams. Control your dreams.
Thank you.
All right,
Salud,
brother. So
namaste.
thank you so much, man. I'll see you next time, Lane, if you're around.
See you next time.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night, brother. And right before I leave, I'm going to actually check the YouTube page one last time to see if there were any more questions, just so I can answer those last questions. So this is the last time to ask questions, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, type in your question in the chat right now, and I will answer these last series of questions. All right, let's see if there were any questions. And I will answer these last series of questions. Thanks, Dave. David Ortman, thanks for watching. Sierra, thanks for being here, man. Mitchell, thank you. Marcade Hernandez, thank you, man. All right, let's see if there were any questions. Which is the best mate for me? And I will answer these last series of questions. Okay. Thanks, Dave. David Ortman, thanks for watching. Sierra, thanks for being here, man. Mitchell, thank you. All right, the last series of questions I got in. What is my favorite brand of mate? Obviously, I'm biased, but it's simple. Mission Organic Yerba Mate from CircleOfDrink.com. If I had to select one mate to live with for the rest of my life, that would be it. It's my best friend for yerba mate. Okay, Mission Yerba Mate. I really like Kraus Yerba Mate as well. Kraus Organica, it's really good yerba mate. My buddy Milton Kraus produces that mate. I really like Pipore Yerba Mate. I like Del Cebador Yerba Mate. That's at yerbamateland.com. What else do I really like? I really like taquapi, which is a mate from Brazil. It's one of the pure green yerba mates, taquapi. Jimangu, I would say it's in my top 15 mates, maybe. Ropapi, Ropipo mate, which is organic yerba mate. I don't even know how to pronounce that one quite yet. It's a new mate that I just found a couple weeks ago. I think it's called Ropipo. There's actually a link to it. Let me find it. On Yerba Mate Land, go to the review section and you'll see that yerba mate. Let me just confirm the name of that one. It's an organic mate. Raupipo, it's pronounced. So those are some of my favorite mates. And then there was a question about dreaming. I'll answer that question at another time because I don't want to go too much into the metaphysics of things like that right now. So thank you guys so much for participating. Thank you for watching. My name is Dave Mate. You could also call us up if you have any questions you want to talk over the phone. I know some people are more comfortable over the phone. So you'll find our numbers at circleofdrink.com and yerbamateland.com. Just check the top of the page and you'll see our phone numbers. All right, guys, have a great night. Salud. Keep on drinking mate. Peace out. Have a good one.